All right, folks, let's try one more time. Windy City Faith Watch. We are here in Chicago's South Loop, near the Scientology Ideal Org, or Idol Org, as we'd like to say now. I am going to head over to the org, see if the blinds are up, see if we can fix that. I originally went live on the native app, but it sounded like the audio was really bad. People couldn't hear what was going on over there. So I'm coming over to StreamYard. We'll wait for some of the people to start floating in. Howdy, Ann. Just having a bit of a struggle this morning here. So this morning there was a smaller road race here in Chicago. So for people that don't really want to run a marathon, they had an opportunity to come out and run the streets of Chicago today. And then tomorrow we've got the Chicago Marathon. Again, we are over on Clark Street, which is in the heart of the South Loop. Yeah, Marina, it is the third time. Howdy, Mini Minion. And as I mentioned on the other stream, right, I've been away. There's been developments in life. I had a fun time with a group of friends. We ran a relay for 200 miles down through bourbon country. Was able to pick up some really good bourbon while we were down there. And then I've got some other news that there may be a move in my future coming up. So kind of want to see what goes on with that. Being here at the Chicago org might not be as simple as I've always thought, right? Sorry, we've got an ambulance coming by. So we'll have to kind of play that by ear. You might have to watch me more in studio. Not sure how well loved I am in studio, but we'll see what happens. Anything we can do to thwart the efforts of the cult is excellent. I always prefer being out here. I think it's. I do think that I'm a thorn in their side, and they're very, very unhappy when I'm around. As we get here, so I'm looking in the window. Nobody really here. I'm not seeing anybody in the cafeteria. We've got one person at the admin desk. But again, as usual, the cult is empty. Ooh, they're painting next door, so I've got an awful lot of paint thinner on the nose. So the person at the desk looks very intent on a book. He's got a book that's open. This is the younger male. He, more often than not, he's going to go to the front door. He's not very attentive. And again, there is nobody, and I know you guys can't really see the glare there as well. Anything to share about your church? Nothing positive about the cult of Scientology? You're just here to take everybody's money, work with the child abuse, the elder abuse, the human trafficking? And he should be up to the... he'll pull down the windows too because the cult of Scientology doesn't like the light of day. So, right, he's gone over here and started these blinds. Remember, it's important that we close up the retail spaces. If you're somebody who lives anywhere near one of these testing centers or ideal orgs, just walking by with a camera is going to be able to make them close their doors, right? This looks very uninviting. Nobody's going to want to come in here and say, oh, this looks really intriguing. Let me go see what they're all about. Howdy, Nance. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna venture around a little bit. I'm gonna go around back, see if there's any activity there. I haven't been here for what, 2 weeks now. You know, just a reminder, right? The work that Fat Grammy is doing in regards to organizing, helping people understand when the meetings are here in Chicago. Now, again, she's doing it across the country, so she's trying to help out as many of the protesters across the nation in regards to what is their city doing for public forums, where are the opportunities for us to let people to let people know about this dangerous cult. And I think that Nance Drew is back up and running. I did get a text from her last night. I was wiped out. I've just been moving 1,000 miles an hour lately. So I think that she's back up and ready to thwart the efforts of the dangerous cults in our neighborhood. Lorraine, that's great, right? Well, yeah, I can tap things now. And then something else, I think that that Fat Grammy posted a calendar recently. So, right, what are the upcoming events so that we can schedule things a little bit better? I will say that every time that somebody would tell me something's going on, it felt like the opening of the org all over again. When Scientology finally decided to open up their ideal org here, I had already made plans to be out of the country, right? When the wedding came up, I had already had plans to do something else as well. So it's like they know my schedule and they're trying to work around it. Journey, great news, right? Well, not that that's great news, but thanks for catching that, right? Definitely want to kind of come down here and see if we can help educate them on who this cult is that they're getting in bed with. I will tell you that I think that our voices fall on mostly deaf ears when we're trying to talk to the members of Scientology. They've been so well indoctrinated that all we are liars and criminals, right? So there's no reason to talk to us. It's one of the reasons why, right, we have the printed material, the go look this up. Now, many of them can't look it up because they've got watchdogs on their computers, watchdogs on their phones. Scientology is limiting or censoring them from what they're able to do. Yeah, many. I agree with that, right? That this sounds selfish, but if you want to go someplace else other than the Chicago Scientology, I won't bother you. Well, that's not altogether true, but I'm not bothering you right now. This is interesting. I wonder what that bag is all about. And it's mostly just, so that's the garbage can here. It's mostly just cardboard effects. There is no chain here. I'm intrigued. I wonder if there's a reason or a story behind the chain and the lock being removed. You know, keeping Scientology on the move is definitely helpful. Stopping Scientology would be better, right? We just don't want them to feel comfortable here. I don't want them to think that it's okay that they're in my neighborhoods proselytizing and lying to the people in my neighborhood about what they are. It's 10 o'clock, so they probably have body routers out. We'll go back past the front of the org, and then we'll start kind of circling outward to see if we can find where they've got people. Now, with the Chicago Marathon tomorrow, There's an expo center at the McCormick Place, which is where people pick all their packets up. That might be a place where there's going to be a high population of people. I'm going to, most of them runners or related to runners. Will it might be that that's a high foot traffic place, but we will head over to Dearborn, State Street, Michigan Avenue, see if we can find any of these people. Yeah, Lorraine, I got the impression that he might be headed back, right? That that would be awesome, right? I feel, yeah, I definitely wish that I could stay here, but just for circumstances, I'm going to have to move in the near future, and I won't be here at Chicago. I'll still have enough friends up here. I'll be here visiting. It will always be part of my vacation regimen to come up here and shut these blinds and to thwart the efforts of the people handing out flyers here. But I would love to see Trashy come back, SRA come back, right? I want to see thousands of people out here doing this. Yeah, Amy, I am, and I'm not going to be near an org. I'm unwilling to say where I'm moving to right now. Definitely not interested in giving Scientology or OSA any information. I don't want to give up what I'm doing. I will tell you that I can't be on the street. Well, there's no value to me being on the street, and there's nothing local to me where I'll be. Howdy, MD Media. Yeah, I've heard, Marina, I've heard several people mention that that Trashy has at least hinted to the idea that he might be back. Sorry, I'm kind of scanning around. Now, what I'm curious about is that, if I did panel shows, is that something that people are interested in? Again, I'm going to have to find my way in that space. I just like I really wasn't great at this protesting when I first started out. That I'll try to figure out how the in-studio and the panels work a little bit better. I do want to continue supporting all of the protesters. Right? I do think it's effective. I don't think it's the only thing necessary, but I also think that it's a stupid thing not to have. Right? There's no downside to having protesters. Again, we want to be as civil as possible when we're doing this. We want to make sure that we are abiding by the rules and the laws that govern wherever we're at. Let me see. I've noticed we've got, wow, the Jehovah's Witnesses are out in force today. We're going to head over towards Michigan Avenue, right? Our next street, and again, all of you guys know the geography of Chicago because I've been educating you so much on that. But we've just gone past State Street. We'll go past Wabash next. We've got Jehovah's Witness here. Yeah, I do think that I will be around for that court date. Not to invite myself or not to impose, but I like being there because Nance has to pay attention to what's going on in court. Her and her lawyer are paying attention to what's going on in court. And when I'm there, I don't want to say I'm disinterested. I can pay a little bit more attention to the surroundings and what's going on in the courtroom and describe the demeanor of the judge, the demeanor of the lawyers, the demeanor of any witnesses in that space. And again, I want to act more as a true reporter in those spaces. Please don't take that. I want to support Nance as much as possible. She's got a lawyer who does a much better job than I am. No, I can be a cheerleader, but that's the best I can do in that space. So over here, you're seeing a gaggle of police, and what they're really here is these are the emergency staff members. So they're doing like traffic info help, traffic monitoring. Hey, Dan. One of my running pals. Yeah, we're still not seeing any activity from the body routers. Now, something that I'll say that I was noticing just before. That I've had a bad experience with this Fat Grammy. That this usually is, even if COPA comes to a conclusion and offers a proposal that the internal affairs, we investigate our own and they're fine. They did exactly what we wanted them to do. Now, again, you always hope that eventually there becomes somebody who's less corrupt and isn't going to let the corruption stand in those spaces. Now, I'm going to say that, from my old sales tactics, never say no for the customer. So even if you think internal affairs is going to cover it up, make the complaint. That the idea of the volume of complaints does make a difference, right? You've got these police walking around, and let's say Nance was going into court. This is not the situation. I'm just giving you an example. But if Nance was going into a court and the police officer that arrested them had a jacket full of complaints about how they were helping Scientology, that's beneficial to a court case, right? And load them up with these problems. Make it challenging for them to, they've made decisions. And their decision was to support the cult. And decisions have consequences, right? So that while it oftentimes won't go anyplace, the sheer volume starts to make a difference. And then you get an alderman who is sympathetic, and we ask the alderman, hey, go open up those jackets. Look what's happening there. When I say jacket, the police file, right? Go look and see what's happening with the police in your precinct or in your ward in the situation as their alderman. We're definitely not seeing, like I said, I'm not seeing anybody down here. There was nobody at the org. As the days get cooler, they're not going to get the foot traffic, right, that is necessary for them to, play the law of large numbers, pulling people into the org. It's a very, very nice day down here in Chicago. Guessing it's probably about 65 degrees out. There's a nice breeze. A lot of folks with their light coats on. I've just got a t-shirt on. So I'm wearing a Chicago Marathon t-shirt today. I don't even know what year this was. By the way, hi Corn Freak, hi Haggis Basher. And yeah, my hope is, and this is not saying that it hasn't happened, but if I have to leave the Chicago scene, I hope that people like Corn Freak and Free Xenu and Nance and Juanita and Never In can make a bigger presence, right? Trashy, SRA. I would love to see that. Howdy, Blow Drill. Great to see you, Dylan. Again, we're just seeing a plethora of runners down here today. Tomorrow we've got the Chicago Marathon. Today we had, I think it was a 5K. And I will tell you that a lot of times what happens when you've got a marathoner in the family, you might also be a runner. You might even also be a marathoner. But maybe you've got kids, or maybe one person has to watch out for the other one during the marathon. So you come and run your race today, and then you watch your partner run their race tomorrow. Hey, Dip Me and Glitter. Just something to mention here is that I'm not going to express where, but I am very close to another place where we've seen Scientology walk in and out of residences. So if you're somebody who's going to be here or near Chicago, this area is a place to look for the Scientologists. Mary James, I agree with you, right? I'll still say that the larger Scientology community seems to overlook. Now, again, you've got Nance Drew, who is a massive channel compared to all the rest of us. And she definitely has built a stronger network than at least I have. I'm not going to talk for the others, but I'll say that she's got a very strong network out there. But outside of that, most people just aren't really worried about. Most Scientologists or ex-Scientologists don't seem to have much of a concentration here. Now, it is very obvious they're spending money here, right? I mean, the building alone, yeah, that's a big deal. They've continually reinforced the staff. Now, I haven't been here for 2 weeks. I will say it was empty there today. This is a Saturday. Saturdays would be a coursework day for publics. So there should be a lot of people in there right now. There was nobody. Now remember, it's 7 floors, so there could be plenty of people upstairs in that building, but there was nobody on the first floor in that building. The body routers no longer come out the front door. They also very seldom go down the alleys and come towards Clark. They go westward when they go down the alley, and they go around the metro station, and that's basically to stay out of my visibility, so that that I can't kind of track them or trace where they're headed. Turning down has been the last. There's other things that I'll these are my opinions of how Chicago protesting has kind of migrated and shown itself. I think that I'm dry, right? I have a very dry sense of humor. I'm probably very stoic when I'm down here, and it's only because I'm very much focused on what I'm trying to do. That's not a knock on anybody. Please understand that. That when Scientologists look out that window and they see the protesters giggling, laughing, having a good time, like when you see Never In out there, when you see Korn, when you see Nance out there, they're actually having a good time being amongst one another, right? And that's got to be so foreign to Scientology. Like, how come those people are happy out there, right? What's going on that we can't be happy? And I think it's important. It goes back to the old story of there's not a right and a wrong way to do this. Oh, got some thinner black males running there. This is a race where we will see some very low 2-hour marathoners here. Chicago is considered a very flat marathon. The biggest hill in this race ends up right here. We're very near the finish line, so we're at about the 26-mile mark here. And if you go down Roosevelt at this point, thank you, Dee, I appreciate that. If you go down Roosevelt at this point, it goes up and over the railroad tracks, so there's a bit of a hump here, but we all euphemistically call it Mount Roosevelt, because after the 26 miles that you've just run and abused your legs and your body on, even that little hump is just so daunting as you try to close out this marathon. %, right? And I will tell you that we've been in some of the restaurants near this org. Yeah, folks, I'm just not seeing anybody out here, so I don't know if they're not body routing today or what's going on here, if they're out of this zone. I haven't seen anybody with a vest. I haven't seen anybody with Way to Happiness, anything of that nature. But as I was saying, on the weekends, oftentimes we're here for long periods of time, and we'll take lunch or dinner while we're here. And if we're in one of the restaurants, whether it be the taco place or the burger joint or the pizza place, Scientologists who live near here, they go in there as well. And again, they see people around a table celebrating camaraderie, celebrating fellowship, right? And it's got to be so foreign to them. Just a quick recap on what we've done so far today, right? We started in at the Pritchard's Road Park, where the farmers market's at. There was no trace, no real evidence of the body routers being there. Yeah, Blojo, that's one of the most disheartening things to me, that while I was away, and by the way, I wasn't intentionally away. I just had things that I had to do, right? There were things I was doing for work. I was at a couple of conventions. I had the relay race. But it did give me that time to reflect a little bit. And I'm very annoyed and disappointed that we can't focus our attention on taking down Scientology, that it's easier, or some people find more joy in let me take down a fellow supporter, or let me add shade to, let me add disagreement to, or discontent to in that situation. And again, it's a clicks and views platform. I get it. That doesn't mean I have to like it. It's just very disappointing to me that there's an obvious target that we can all concentrate on, and we choose sometimes to friendly fire is the best way I'll say it, right? I want to say this in the most direct way. I 100% detest all of the immoral and illegal activities that Louis Repetto is alleged to have committed. I was so disheartened to learn that that was something that was in his playbook, because again, he is one of the most educated because of what his position was in Scientology. And now there's a discredible voice there. I wish that we could lift the credibility of that voice on the things that he saw and that he was in charge of and that he could educate us on, and still keep separate the idea that he did some terrible things. And again, I hope that everybody just heard me say that I detest everything that he said, and I will, at the top of my voice, yell about what's going on there, right? We are going to lose protesters, right? I'm not going to be able to do this anywhere near as frequently as I have in the past. I won't be near an organization when I move. I do, again, want to be able to, if I have to sit at a desk and support people, I have to sit at a desk and support people. Again, I'm just not seeing much activity here. It's kind of odd that I saw nobody on the first floor, and I've now pretty much covered all of the South Loop from the org to the lake. Michigan Avenue and Columbus Avenue are going to be closed at this point in time, right? So it's closed down for the marathon tomorrow. Yeah, Dee, I think that that's a common theme, right? And I understand it, right? That I just don't like the drama. Now, I think you've heard me say this before. I don't necessarily think that there are bad people in our space. I think that there are people who have done bad acts in our space. The example I'll kind of put forward is there are things that I did not like the Defender Advance doing. When the Defender Advance came to Chicago, I said, if you want to stand here and protest, I'll stand here and protest with you. Right? And we did. We don't have the same views, right? But we both have the same enemy. When it comes to people like Dylan or any former Scientologist, they had enough trauma delivered to them from the cult of Scientology that you have to know, as an ex-Scientologist, that when you poke at or send a barb towards a prickly thing, not barb, when you send a nastygram or you make an accusation against a former Scientologist, you know exactly how that's going to land. Was the last day I was here the day that we had police out here? We're going to go through the beautiful park here. I'm going to run by the org again just to make sure that the blinds are still down, see if they've got anybody out on the sidewalk. And then I'm going to see if they're sending people into the loop, because that's also been something that they'll do. Like if you were to look at a heat map of Chicago today, you're going to see an awful lot of foot traffic that goes east-west from both the Ogilvy station and the Union station. So it's people coming downtown to pick up their bibs for tomorrow. There were people that were here today because of another foot race. And when Chicago does some of these foot races down here, they're massive foot races. Like when you run a 5K, like this morning's 5K, I'll bet the finishers were done before some people crossed the starting line. And it's not that the finishers are lightning fast; they are, but it takes more than 15 minutes to get the last person off of the starting line. When you talk about, an 8 or 10,000 person race in a 5K, which is really, it's just funny to think that many people are running such a small race. And there have been it really is just a beautiful day. We're starting to see, right, some of the leaves are down, but other trees, we're starting to see the colors change. One of the things that I really always enjoyed being here in the city was you'd be in some of these parks and you're surrounded by greenery right here. I'll do a 360 real quick. So, right, I'm in the middle of a park, and most of the stuff to the south is just 1 or 2 stories tall. But then as I look over here, you've got the Sears Tower in the background. So it's such an, I always love the mix of neighborhood and big city that Chicago has offered. And while the neighborhoods are becoming more diverse, there used to be very high density, I don't know if you would call it ethnic or nationality, but the Jewish neighborhoods used to be incredibly dense, like probably 90% plus. Chinatown is still probably 90% plus, and for the longest time, it was probably 97, 98% plus Asian, probably mostly Chinese, but Asian in general. Pilsen, which originally was a Polish neighborhood, then changed over to a Hispanic or Spanish-speaking neighborhood later on. But they're much more diverse than they ever were. And it's just, if you ever come here, get on like the blue line and get off at every other stop. And you're going to be in a different neighborhood and you're going to sense a different vibe. And, each of the stops on the blue line and the red line, the same thing. There's a corner of retail spaces, whether it be shops, bakeries, restaurants, pubs, bars. Just for fun, I don't know if you remember, right, but boy, what was it? Was it the Literary Fest? No, it wasn't. It was the week after the Literary Fest that we saw Scientology come in here and put a bunch of flyers down. Let me go take a walk around in here again. Yeah, I'm going to keep you on the wall over here just as I walk down here. Yeah, the tables look pretty clean. So as we look through here, right, there's a Montessori school here. You've got the University of Chicago's Medical Center here. There's a yoga studio up top. What is this? Oh, a chess center. Nice. Bridge. Boy, who plays bridge still? This past weekend, I played euchre for the first time in 20 years. Yeah, those are some surprising elements. I don't know. I might be reading into this incorrectly, but you're right that hey, when you meet somebody in person, usually a connection is created. Sorry, I'm waiting for. Thank you. A connection is created, and you always hope that that bond is enough, right? Or that that bond means something. Oops. I love cribbage too. My family was avid cribbage players. Um, I I tell the people that I play with all the time. I remember the rules to cribbage and I remember the rules to euchre. What I don't remember is the strategy. Like, what's the right way to play whatever hand you have. So it's funny. I was one of the people that we were with this past weekend. She's a very avid tennis player, and maybe some of you would say that I'm a fairly athletic person, and I understand how to play tennis. Right? I understand the hand-eye coordination, hitting a ball with a stick or racket. But my tendency is I chase the ball down and I return it. I don't put the ball in a place where it's going to challenge the other player. So it's definitely one of those things where it's very interesting to be able to play something and to be able to play something well. Card game, board game, sports. It's rather amazing what the differences are. Yeah, euchre was the college game. Like at my college, you couldn't swing a dead cat. And by the way, you're not supposed to swing dead cats anymore. But you could not swing a dead cat without hitting somebody playing euchre. So if there was a common space, it was going to be people playing euchre. And in my day, we were playing for a quarter a point. But
2 weeks.
You win a couple of games at a quarter a point. You can win. You can buy a pizza that day or that week. Looking through the farmers market again, kind of scan through here. We're not really seeing anybody here. Howdy, Juanita.
I feel like personally, the one I feel like I know
It was funny this past weekend. Something that I will say when I need to go to the restroom, and again, all of my friends when I was growing up were much older than I was, and family friends, right? So they were generationally older than I was. It would be things like when I have to go to the restroom and I want to excuse myself, I'd say I have to go see a man about a horse, and normally nobody understands what the heck I'm talking about when I say that. But it was so fun this past weekend that, oh my gosh, I haven't heard that in forever. And I like that. Now, remember, it's only the dead cats. And I don't know where actually you find dead cats. All right, let's head back over to the org. See if they've got anybody out there on the street yet. No, we're definitely not seeing anybody. Yeah, they're all at the lost and found. I actually have a family member down at the University of Chicago right now, struggling with a medical issue. Things seem to be going well. Doctors are optimistic, so I feel good about that. But I'm also glad that she's at the University of Chicago, that it is a very highly touted medical school. Thank you, Blowdro. One of the things that's happened here recently on Printers Row is that more and more of the vendors and the shop owners here, they'll talk off the record and they'll make statements like Scientology said they'll put me out of business if we don't play nice with their people. And that's an incredibly believable statement, right? Now, what I want to be able to do is help educate these business owners that Scientology isn't that strong anymore, right? Yeah, if you look at the history of Scientology, they had clout. They swung a big stick. They could cause problems for people. But that's really no longer the situation, right? So my hope is for all of the Chicago protesters that are still here, that we are going to talk to some of these business owners and say, hey, if you're with them, you don't have to be with them, number one, right? They're not as strong as you think, and we're more than happy to support you, right? We've got live channels going on. There are plenty of people in Chicago watching these channels. We can be ambassadors for your business, much more so than Scientology can. The other thing I'll say is that you've heard the stories of the despicable crimes and abuses that this organization is responsible for. And when you support them, we have to let people know that you're okay with their activities, right? I want to say this, that I want to support the businesses, and I'm not upset with them taking money from. But they've been told things like, if you hear anybody talking bad about Scientology in here, kick them out. And that is not just allowing you to make money, right? I don't care if a Scientologist is spending money in your business. You need people to spend money in your business. That's how your business is there. Oh, got one going in. So they think that it was okay to put the shades back up. So now we've got several more people in there. These are new faces, right? I don't recognize this one. Anything positive to share about your church? Is there nothing positive about the cult of Scientology? It's not good enough to just be a business selling books? Deceiving the public? Are you here for the human trafficking or are you here for the child abuse? All right, now the org's waking up. Let's get these shades down. Oh, let's see if we've got a fellow walking out here. Just so you know, it's a cult. Got the shades coming down again. See, they can't stand up to the light of day. They don't like the public seeing in. That fella, I don't know if he had a disheartening look towards me or if he had a disheartening look towards them. So her husband just went in. Are we here for the human trafficking or the child abuse? Never, and that's great news. And I like that again, somebody who's going to give more information and more education is going to go out to more people. Howdy, Cubs. Great seeing you. Just a reminder to everybody, right? I don't care about their beliefs. They can have their beliefs. I care about the crimes and abuses. The idea that they'll put a small child in an auditing room with an adult where that adult can tell them the most perverse things and their desires and their wants, and that child has to stay there. There is no way in the world you tell me that's not child abuse. Just moving forward, let people walk behind me. So there's a parking permit on that window. Oh, I can still smell that, the paint. Yeah, and I don't believe there's any reason not to believe the others that have been in there, right? The that Hey, Declare Dave, how you doing? Um, right? The Gosh darn it, Serge, right? So Serge talks about when he was a child, and why is there a massage table in that room? Anything positive to share about your church? Are you here for the child trafficking, the human trafficking, child abuse? What does it for you in this church? You can see the guys paint, our construction workers painting over here. So my guess, and again, folks, I have to guess a lot, right? My guess is that there is an event going on here today. Don't ever go in.
I just said to myself, good Lord.
Your neighborhood cult. The reason that I think there's an event going on here today is that when I came back by here, right, we did see an awful lot more people inside, and they had the windows open again. Howdy, Power Lives. Yeah, they're always brainwashing events, right? And something, again, I struggled today with my technology. I set up the first stream as vertical. Second stream didn't come through very well. I couldn't get anybody in, so we're on the third stream of the day. But on that first stream that I set up, you'll notice there were a bunch of flyers there, right? You saw Way to Happiness, the drug-free world, drug-free world, human rights, Youth for Human Rights, Dianetics. All of these books, which bring people in, and when these people come in, they end up, hey, where's the stuff about drug-free America or drug-free world, right? Where's the stuff about Way to Happiness? All you're telling me about is Dianetics and Scientology. And there's that idea that they're deceptive in their marketing practices, right? They want you to think that they're a charitable organization, but that's just a front so that they can get you in the door. They want to get you in the door, and they want to see if they can turn you. And it is just a law of numbers, right? If they bring 100 people in a day and only 2 people buy a book, which, by the way, I don't like that even 2% would be the number, but that's all they care about. They're not targeting anybody. They're not selective in what they do. They just want to bring people in because they need to make the money, right? Yeah, and Blowdrill, I forget where you were based, but I wonder if there's how big the difference is when I think about like the Hollywood complex and the Clearwater complex, where there are separate buildings for each of these, whereas here in Chicago, everything is housed inside of this same building. Anything to share about your church? Nothing positive about the cult of Scientology? Are you here for the child abuse or are you here for the human trafficking today? There's a couple of people out in front of the org right now, and yeah, I'm making these statements so that it makes their ears perk up. I do think that if it was a purpose-built building, like in Scientology or in California or in Florida, they have a building for for some of these particular front groups in that space. But here, everything happens out of the same space. I think this is generally true, but I never want us to rest on our laurels. I will tell you that the number of people that have said, "Oh, it's okay, they're cool, right? They don't do anything to harm us." If you look at the 2008, in 2008, when they made one push to open up this org, they had asked the local community about it, and they said, "We don't care if they don't do anything wrong. We don't care what they're doing." Howdy, Scientology up north. Yeah, that's a curious question, Dave. Is there a transition um, policy or plan in place, right? This is interesting. So somebody just came out with suitcases down the street. I'm curious about the suitcase that's right in front of me. Just so you understand, it's a human trafficking cult. It's a human trafficking cult.
This is what?
It's a human trafficking cult. So,
I'm not a member.
okay. But you're going to support them anyway?
Yeah, my grandson. So, it's my grandson.
So, so her grandson's here, right? And is her grandson here supporting the cult of Scientology? Well, wouldn't, Dylan had mentioned that there was no plan prior to David Miscavige. Wasn't the plan, oh, darn it, I can't remember the name, the couple that L. Ron had tried to transition over to. That I felt like that was a transition plan. Yeah, thank you. Pat and Annie Broker, right? Wasn't that supposed to be? Are you here for the human trafficking or the child abuse? All right, so something is going on here today. Twice we've seen suitcases. Well, I saw somebody come out with suitcases, and we saw the woman go in with suitcases. Now, her claim was, I don't know if you guys heard it very well, but she's not a member. She's here for her grandson. Yeah, my absolute hope is she's here to pick him up, but that's not how, I don't imagine that's how things are supposed to supposed to occur. Oh, thank you for that clarification. So it really wasn't that they were planning to take over. It was that they had a different responsibility at that point. I will say that when she went in the other door, why is Danny Masterson a member of this church and still in good standing? He raped 3 of their members, and they kicked the rapists out, not the raper. Oh, sorry. What I was saying is that when she went in the door down there, she mentioned. I'll say that here's what it felt like the conversation was. I'm here for Larry, and I have no idea what her grandson's name is. And the staff member said, "Oh my gosh, come on in!" Right. So, I do think that she is. It's very plausible that she is not a member of Scientology. But you know what, Blowdro? I am going to try and set that up again, right? I know that I said that before, but now, and again, for those of you that don't know, I'm not going to be here in Chicago very much longer. So my ability to thwart this organization is going to diminish. I'm probably going to have to do a little bit more studio work and supporting the Scientology protesters as a keyboard warrior, as they say, right? Just letting the folks come through. So hopefully I become more adept at doing the interviews and studio work in this space.
I think it happened within
had
minutes.
so much happening.
It was so many things. Like, oh.
Aha! So now we know who the grandmother is, right? You guys all recognize him, right? Tall, thin, dark-haired guy? Dylan, is it possible he's going on vacation? Or is it she's in town staying to visit? What are some reasons why the grandmother would have come here? Now, the youngster is a staff member. He's been here since day one. They are going over to the imprint. So, you know, I don't know. By the way, I can't imagine that the grandmother would be thrilled to go into a room that shows 6 to 9 people living there. Maybe there's, they've got an additional room there to able to host family members. She doesn't necessarily have to be. Now, as long as I'm sorry, this is conjecture. This is Paul thinks. If you're a relative of a Scientologist, as long as you don't speak poorly about Scientology or associate with people that speak poorly about Scientology, I just think you're a neutral person, right? And if you think about it, how odd would it be to say, hey, ma'am, stay out here and we'll bring your grandson out? So it's rather, I would find it very strange that they would keep her out on the sidewalk waiting for the grandson to come out. Howdy, Rachel. Anything positive to share today? No? Still nothing positive about this cult? My audience would love to know why we're supposed to come and see you, right? And I apologize when I say you're my audience. You're a group of people that we like to associate with. Like I said, I'm curious about the suitcase, right? So why is the grandma here with the suitcase? Is she here to visit? Um, is she here to take him home? Right? I'd be surprised that you can actually just schedule an appointment to say, with the exception of Natalie, very few people say, "I'm coming to get my daughter, and you better let me." Right? See you, corn freak. Uh, I agree with you. If she would have come and talked to me, she wanted to get out of my range as quickly as possible. And yeah, that's probably I'm going to say a flaw, but it's kind of a personality trait on my side. That if you're not willing to receive, I'm not going to force you to take it, right? I do have to. I probably could have been a little bit more stern about, hey, would you like to know what they really do in there? Yeah, that's another possibility, right? And I could be wrong. He might be Sea Org. He has been here since the earliest days. I mean, I remember him from back in March, right? So is he Sea Org going someplace else? No. I don't think that this is his 2-week vacation. Thank you so much. So L. Ron Hubbard said the best way to control people is to lie to them. You realize you're being lied to, and you're also lying to others. If you'd like to learn about this child trafficking cult, I can give you more information. I can let you know the proper noun members of people who have been affected by this cult. So, not a member, but willing to be, apparently. By the way, we just saw one of the neighbors walk by and said, "Hey, welcome back." So, again, somebody else who knows I'm out here trying to do good for the neighborhood. So, you see a civilian closed male in that white car. The staff member that just came out is a passenger in that white vehicle right now. That might be a Florida plate. Let me check real quick. Yeah, it's a Florida plate on the back side of it, right? So the white vehicle driving away is driving the passenger away, and it's got a Florida plate on there. Uh, Anybody want to guess which community in Florida they might be from? Thank you, Lorraine, for the reminder. Absolutely, Nance, I will. I want to, let me go back to this. Juanita, yes, she does look young, but he's probably only 18 or 19 himself, right? So at age 40, I could be a grandparent to a 19-year-old pretty easily. Yeah, I do hope that anybody who's watching from Florida is safe from the storm. Glad it's out to sea. Looked like it went through basically overnight. She does. And I could easily be way too naive about this, right? The idea that when she said that she's not a member and she's the grandmother, I'm going to say I believe her, right? That she looked shocked and surprised. You could like when before I contacted her or made contact with her, she was standing here and I could tell she wanted to go in, but she didn't want it to be known she was going in. Also, when she did walk past, like when I was talking to her the very first time, she was like, "Oh, I didn't realize I'd be on camera," right? And the idea that, hey, if you do bad things, yeah, I'm okay letting people know that you do bad things. I'm gonna try to go around back real quick. We'll see if it flushes out any activity up here. I'm just gonna go to the alley to see if there's any activity back there. Now, some of the stories that I have been hearing are that when people do come in, and when community members come in because they received a flyer or they have an interest or a curiosity in what's going on inside the building, that as they lead straight into its Scientology and Dianetics and the people get a little disheveled, they've been pushing people out the back or routing people out the back so that they won't have to go past the protester hearing or being educated as to what the crimes and abuses of the organization are. Every once in a while when I walk up here, I will see somebody coming from the train station, or I'll see somebody on the other side of the sidewalk. Yeah, 100% kids can't consent. And again, I've said this many times. That tall, thin fella that's the grandchild of the person out there, he's a victim, right? I fully believe that person is a victim. They did not grow up with a plan that says, you know what, I want to join this cult in this space. He got sucked in under some pretense, right? Hey, we're going to save the world. Hey, we're going to help educate people. We are going to help fix people's minds. Now, we saw earlier, right, when I first got here, they closed the blinds, right? And there was only the administrator at the desk, the young male. And again, it's so funny. I know the habits of these people, right? The females always come to the blinds first. This male always goes to the door first, and he shuts the door. But when we first got here, they closed everything up. And then we went on a little bit of a searching mission to see if we could find any body routers out there. We didn't find any. I was probably gone for 25, 30 minutes, and they had the blinds back up. But very quickly after I got back here, right, we were able to get the blinds and the doors down again. There were new faces. I did not recognize the people that were congregating near that front area. Yeah, Haggis, that's a true story, right? So one of the people, and again, I'm going to admit, she's a rather attractive young lady. Her name's Jessica. There have been 3 different males, maybe 4, um, where the body router was the one that gave them the flyer, but then when they were inside, hey, Jessica, come on over here and say hi to my friend Larry. By the way, the real name isn't Larry. Um, I might put you on mute because we've got a fire truck up ahead of us. Let's see which way they're going. All right, looks like they're stopping at Imprint. I just kind of made it quiet so you guys wouldn't have to get your ears blasted by that. That we met the kid in the Dunkin' Donuts, right? Dunkin' Donuts is what, 3 doors down, 2 doors down from here? When he talked to me, he said that, yeah, I came in because they gave me a flyer. I bought the book. Oh, here comes our Olga's coming back. By the way, I have a box of chalk to leave here in Chicago, too. Hi. Anything positive to share about your church? So she's got an armful of Way to Happiness flyers, and you saw she had the Way to Happiness shirt on. Now that green shirt, I haven't seen that green shirt before, right? Normally it's a white shirt with a blue and green circle on the back. That had the same blue and green circle on the back, but it had like a light green or a pastel green element on there. The So he was definitely somebody who said, yeah, this really pretty girl. And I said, was her name Jessica? And he goes, yeah. So that was one situation. The person that was taken arm in arm down here early on, Jessica kind of shepherded him away. He eventually wrote back and said, hey, I'm the guy on the video at X. I never joined. Thank you for telling me that. The other one is there was a tall, thin white male wearing a white T-shirt that came out, and he went down the street, and I followed him down the street, and I talked to him, and he said, listen, I'm really only here to talk to Jessica, because he thought he thought that Jessica was a normal girl, and hey, we have a little conversation, maybe we go out and get pizza, we start dating, right? So, do they use every weapon in the arsenal? Yeah. And is one of those weapons using pretty folk? Yeah. They use pretty folk to try to sway people over. Right? Hey, Kirby, how you doing? So the fire truck left. We still have the ambulance there. We don't see police, so this looks like it's a medical-only situation. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. You know, I remember the kid that blew up. He was a Scientologist that would be out on the streets in Hollywood. And his name might have been Serge. Again, it's just blurry with all of that. But early on, he was basically made TikTok famous by Jessica and Will and Chris and the crew out there. But again, you know, fairly good-looking guy, right? So, Yeah, good point. Right. I saw the headline on that. I didn't. Again, I just haven't been watching a lot of SPTV YouTube lately. Um, but I did see that headline, and I thought that it was brought up once earlier that somebody else had kind of gotten in there. Absolutely, yes. Sebastian, yes, thank you. But right, he was kind of famous. He was made famous by he got his 15 minutes of fame with the protesters that were out here. It's 11:20, so usually as early as 11:30, we're probably going to see people coming out to take their lunchtime breaks. Now, remember, Scientology also has that trick of you can be any religion until you start going up the bridge, right? Um, Are you here for the child trafficking or the human trafficking? Somebody's far out west. Yeah, Kelly, again, they're victims. That uh, the, the people that are trapped in this cult are victims. Oh, Anthony, check again, or am I still in trouble? Let me make sure I still got it on mic. Yeah, it should be coming through the mic. It might be, I'll bet that if I raise my head, we'll show you in the mirror here, right? Um, the mic is on my chest, so if I raise my head, then I'm sure my voice isn't going close enough to the microphone for it to capture, and hopefully that's what's causing the problem. Well, girl, it's one of the things that um, when I listen to Tori talk about the good old days, if that's what we really want to call it, the idea that you were supposed to go out there and you were supposed to confront and shatter everybody that's going down there. I've had people tell me that if they take the shades down, well, that's hiding, and hiding is downtown, right? You're downtown on the tone scale when you do that. That the only thing that L. Ron Hubbard said, right, keep Scientology working, is you got to promote, promote, promote. That I have seen the public are much more likely to try and talk us off of our talking points, right? I've never seen a Scientologist in this place. I don't remember seeing any Scientologists come out here and talk to me, telling me I'm right or wrong. They they tend to try, right? So it's power and scatter, not confront and shatter. When the public, you want to see what this church really does? I think I've got the the other mic here. Hopefully that's a little bit stronger. Well, I've got my Chicago Marathon shirt on. Hey, Renita. So is this any stronger? I'm seeing both the mics there. Oh, let me turn this one off. All right. Now let's try. So this is post echo. Hopefully you're not hearing echo anymore. Yeah. I used to be Paul with the red coat on. Well, early on, I don't think I knew that my name was Paul. It wasn't until Memorial Day that we had confirmation they knew my name. That was, yeah, they knew my name pretty early on. Are you hearing the audio any better yet, or no? All right, folks, now I'm just straight on the phone, so you're probably gonna need a little bit more background noise. Is that any better? Oh, and I can tell, you know what? The phone's also, that's really what the problem is. The phone is dying. So here's what I'm gonna do. Let me go grab lunch. They're about to go and do their lunch here. And let me charge everything up, and then we'll see if we can come back. Looks like the ambulance and fire truck are on to target 2. Absolutely. Let's see if we can hasten that death. All right, folks, I'm going to go grab lunch. I'm going to charge the phones, and if I can figure out what's going on with the audio, we'll be back.